Okay, so the purpose of this video is to show how I budget a house, whether it's spec house that I'm building or a house for my family. Um, I'm sure most builders would laugh at the way that I do it. It's just based upon I've built 7 timber frame homes in the past 20 years, and this works for me. So I thought you might find it interesting. I'm not showing actual dollar amounts for this house for privacy's sake, but at least you'll be able to see how I think through it. So what I call the site prep section, building permit in my town is 30 cents per square foot or $3 per $1,000 of budget, whichever is higher. Porta-John's about $100 a month, and I usually figure 6 months. By then, I hope to have a working toilet. A well in my area generally costs about $5,000. We have to go almost 300 feet to get decent flow. Septic system runs about $12,000 if it's a very simple, small tank and leach field. That can run up to $20,000, $25,000, depending on the soil and the size, and whether you need pumping stations, sand filters, etc. We don't have municipal gas or utilities, so we actually have to have a propane tank. I prefer to have them buried. To bury a 1,000-gallon tank costs about $6,000, but that includes filling it with 800 gallons of propane. Electric hookup, those fees can vary from the utility, but the buried lines cost about $20 per linear foot, and that would include conduit, electric cable, phone, etc. And then a driveway, gravel driveway is about $2 a square foot. I figure $25 per linear foot of gravel driveway. And then on top of that cost, if you're going to pave it, it's $4 to $6 per square foot. Moving on to the foundation. Excavation for, kind of the size homes that I usually build generally runs about $25,000, and that includes drains, electric trench, backfill, etc. That does not include clearing the site. I usually do that. A friend of mine and myself do that with a chainsaw. If you're going to do poured walls, footers are going to cost about $35 a linear foot, and then for 9-foot full walls, about $260 a linear foot, and $130 a linear foot for frost walls for the garage or a walkout basement. Superior wall, which is what I'm using on this house, is about $20 per square foot of wall. That gets me really close to what Superior actually charges. And then the slab, I use some local stonemasons that I know, and they tell me to use $2 a square foot for labor and about $200 a yard for material. You also have to figure for insulation if you're going to do that. The floor system for this house ended up being $12 a square foot. Pre-pandemic pricing on that was $6 a square foot, so that was a huge increase. And then whatever the wood house package costs. To install the wood house package, my note says Danny's hours times 50. Danny is our pricing engineer at Woodhouse, so she gives me our estimated hours to install whatever home I'm pricing out, and I multiply that times $50 per hour. And then forklift rental, This is for a 42-foot boom, minimum 8,000 pounds capacity, rough terrain forklift, and that costs about $3 or $3,000 a month. Moving on to exterior finish, asphalt roof. Today's numbers now runs about $135 a square for material and about $150 a square for labor. A square is 100 square feet of roof, so 10 foot by 10 foot. For a standing seam roof, seems to have drastically increased. Pre-pandemic pricing was $600 a square. The kind of pricing that I'm getting now is $1,300 a square. A vented roof, which we always recommend, runs about $150 a square. That's also called a cold roof, so it's another layer of 2x4 material, usually ripped in half every 16 inches, covered with 7/16 OSB to allow to vent the roof. Siding and trim material for board and batten, I use $4 a square foot. And that's for James Hardy siding, board and batten. And then the labor is $6 a square foot. And then there's quite a bit of stone veneer on this house, whether it's for the exterior or for the chimney, interior and exterior chimney for fireplaces. You figure about $35 a square foot of stone veneer installed. Heating and cooling, that's where I put the fireplace and chimney as well. So zero clearance, meaning a steel fireplace with steel flue inside a framed up chimney that is then covered with stone veneer. You could figure that about $25,000 per fireplace. That's assuming the chimney is full height. If you're going to do full masonry, that costs about $75,000. And then HVAC, I know any HVAC professional is going to laugh at me for this, but it just seems to work. If I figure the amount of conditioned space and multiply it times 6, it comes very close to what my HVAC guy usually charges. And then you figure $2,500 for an 80-gallon water heater installed. You can go as small as 40. We like to have 80 for various reasons. Rough plumbing, my plumber tells me $4,000 for a kitchen or a full bath, $3,000 for a half bath. So you just simply multiply that out. And then rough electric, kind of like HVAC. I know this is a crazy way to do it, but if I take living space and multiply it times 5, that gets me very close to what the rough electric actually costs. And the rough electric also includes the installation of the fixtures. It just doesn't include the fixtures themselves. For flooring, if I do a wall-to-wall carpet in a bedroom or something at Home Depot, it's $4 a square foot installed for kind of a Stainmaster Builder's quality carpet. Hardwood, I don't do pre-finished. I prefer a custom installed, usually white oak, and then sanded and finished in place, and that costs $15 a square foot. Vinyl is $2 a square foot installed, and then tile is, I generally use stone, and I don't go crazy, and it usually works out to be about $10 a square foot of tile installed. And then I just go down through the number of bathrooms, number of toilets. They're $300 each for a Kohler, which is what I use. In my area with the tile guy that I use, a custom tiled shower is $2,400. Mirrors usually wind up about $700 each. Good quality shower doors, $1,300 each. I just use a number of $700 each for each vanity, including the top. Um, Bath shower units, the kind that you buy all in one piece and install, they're $400 each. Um, I figure $300 for shower fixtures, $100 for bathtub fixtures, $50 for sink fixtures, and then I figure $500 per bathroom for the labor to install the vanities and so forth. And then similarly on the kitchen, I just figure $400 a linear foot for a kind of decent quality non-custom cabinet like a craft made. I count up all the doors and the drawers and multiply that times 8 for hardware. I assume $75 a square foot for granite. And to install the cabinets, I figured 2 guys for 2 days, which around here is about $2,000. $3,000 for a fridge, $300 for a sink, $300 for sink fixture, $2,500 for a good quality 4-burner stovetop, $2,500 for a double oven, $500 for a microwave, and $900 for a dishwasher. Those are all relatively conservative numbers. Laundry, I generally figured $2,000 to $2,500. Interior doors for MDL solid interior shaker style door, so it's solid, it's not hollow. It's about $400 each, and then $30 each for a normal, Home Depot door hardware, like a Schlage. Interior walls, I'm using $75 a linear foot for framing the walls. That does not include sheetrock. And then interior trim, I just take the living, again, conditioned space, square footage, and I just multiply it times $1. And that's usually about what I spend on the premium pine that I use in public spaces and prime poplar that I use in private spaces. For timber frame, woodhouse timber frame stairs, I use $3,500 for straight run and $10,000 for U-shaped per floor. It can go up or down from there depending on wood species, depending on actual design. Railings, I use $65 a linear foot. Drywall finish, $4 a square foot of the house, and that's to hang and finish, and the material. And then for trim labor, I figure a really good finish carpenter for 1 month. Lighting fixtures, this can vary all over the place. They can be very expensive or very cheap. I tend to go, less expensive, but try to keep it nice. And $2 a square foot gets me a good budget to do that. Interior and exterior paint, $10 per square foot of house, and that includes material. Decking support material is $6 a square foot and that's just pressure treated posts and framing. And then surface material, I use $10 a square foot usually for a composite. Decking labor, this house worked out to $23 per square foot of deck for the labor. And then for the railings, I also use $65 per linear foot. Garage doors, $2,500 each installed, gets you a nice door and a nice quiet opener. And then because I live in the Finger Lakes, sometimes we have to figure docks and pilings and so forth for a beach. So just out of interest, dock material, I figure $8 a square foot for pressure treated. Same thing for labor. Pilings are $700 each installed, and stairs because we have cliffs going down to our beaches. That works out to about $200 per article foot of fall. And totaling all that up gives me the total build budget, and I usually use a contingency of 10%. So hopefully that wasn't too long and boring, but I thought it would be interesting for you folks to understand how I personally look at budgeting a house, and that's how I budgeted for this house. And at the end, I will let you know how I did against that budget.